I will restore the working man to his rightful glory. I will dismantle this oppressive establishment board by board. I will saw the tables of tyranny in half, and I will gnaw at the ankles of big business. Who said that? Was it Marx? Upton Sinclair? Picasso, perhaps? It seems oddly familiar, doesn't it? Maybe you learned it in high school history, or maybe it was scrawled on the stall of a truck stop bathroom. It was, in actuality, SpongeBob. Now, this quote appears as a joke, as SpongeBob literally dismantles the Krusty Krab, but maybe you remember that now, somewhere deep in your subconscious. See, that was the beauty of SpongeBob, right? It was a fantastic subversion. Were we laughing at SpongeBob's wacky antics or realizing our own internal desire for rebellion? This is the power of the cartoon. Its ability to be completely inconspicuous but memorable, satirical, and biting. I was in a hotel room a while back with my dad, Papa Jose, and we didn't know what to watch on TV, so we threw on cartoons. And after a little while, I saw him sitting over there in the corner and looking very unenthused. And he turned to me and he said, "You know, Carlos, I don't understand this baby stuff. It's cartoonishly simple." I laughed. But then I thought about it. Cartoonishly simple. It's a phrase I've heard dozens of times, and I realized in that moment it's actually incorrect. One, because cartoons are unbelievably meticulous, difficult, and costly to produce. And two, because it implies that cartoons are simple entertainment, just a silly series of images to make you laugh. But I believe that cartoons are a rebellious, biting, and beautiful artistic medium, one that, to quote Mies van der Rohe, in their simplicity are not primitive. Now, of course, I've loved cartoons since I was a little kid. Papa Jose actually used to buy me DVDs and keep them in this enormous CD wallet. And since he's originally from Spain, there were all these really weird 80s European cartoons. Asterix, The Adventures of Tintin, Eres una vez el hombre, La abeja maya y el cuerpo humano, to name a few. And they blew my mind. I mean, beyond the jokes and the gags, even then, I saw its potential for so much more. I saw its potential for real social change. Unlike other mediums, animation has no limitations, endless opportunity. And with that comes an unimaginable challenge, creating an entire world from scratch. I mean, film is meant to capture reality. You don't need to worry about your actors breathing, per se. The camera relays what's right in front of you. Animation captures nothing. It invents it. It realizes a world never before seen and fools you into believing it. A series of sticks, lines, dots, and blots, bringing a grown adult to tears. There's a role in the industry called character animator, whose whole job it is to interpret the performance of a voice actor down to the blink. It's this meticulous attention to detail that gives us such an intimate relationship with these characters. It's how we're able to recognize our cleverness in a buck-toothed rabbit or our childlike innocence in a sponge. Look, we see monsters and understand that they're people. We love metaphor. We condense complicated ideas into parables all the time. Animation is metaphor incarnate. Why do you think that the gentle giant is such a reoccurring archetype? Cartoons are all about synergizing visual dichotomies. The boy and the giant, the rat and the chef, the girl and the monster in her closet. It takes a step back from reality to show us truth. That being said, I really do believe cartoons are uniquely disadvantaged in that they are forced to simulate the most minute details that you will really never notice. Take a simple issue. If I have a character standing in space, I mean, you believe he's standing there, right? Simple enough. But what if I want him to jump? Now, how do I convince you, an audience, that my Mr. Stickman lives in a world with a gravitational field? I mean, easy enough, right? It's a cartoon, right? We'll just have him move up and then move back down. It's all right. It's pretty straightforward, pretty mechanical. It doesn't feel real. I mean, is he jumping or is he floating? Right? Okay, fine. Whatever. We'll take it a step further. All right, if there's a gravitational field in this world, then let's imagine there's momentum. Therefore, this character needs to counteract gravity in order to reach the height of his jump. So, in order to jump, he needs to bend down. He needs to push off of the earth. So we'll have him bend down. And then, I don't know, maybe when he hits the height of his jump, he'll slow down because now gravity is regaining control of his body, pushing him back down to earth, where, upon landing, he will absorb the weight of his jump to return to a starting pose. A little bit better. Now, both of these animations take the same amount of time, but it's the simulated squishing, dragging, cushioning, and stretching that makes you believe it. Your brain clicks, right? This idea was made up. It's not concrete. I mean, there are principles of animation, of course, but it can't be proven. It's experimentation. It's a very observant art form, one that doesn't just borrow from reality, but informs it. You know, cartoonishly simple. Making cartoons is a race to build the tallest skyscraper, and everybody's trying to one-up the competition. Plus, with the advent of technology, systems like rotoscoping, stop motion, 3D, and mocap were all pioneered. It's a race to be the next Empire State, which is exciting to watch. Animation has been pushed beyond anything Walt Disney would have ever dreamed of. Take Encanto, Disney's latest animated feature film. This film took a team of almost 200 people 5 years to develop, working around the clock. It shows every flick of the wrist, the way the sunlight glints off of the glasses of the protagonist, the way that the floorboards creak to accommodate the weight of each character. Animation requires that any frame in the movie could be a fully realized painting. 24 paintings a second. If we do a little math, an average hour and 40-ish minute movie totals about 148,320 paintings. Ultimately, animation is a deconstruction, an abstraction. All visual art is, but it is through the rejection of naturalism and the embrace of the extreme, gestural, and absurd that it conveys the most subtle human emotions, and through humor at times raises the most radical of questions. Because while an industry, animation is a monumental labor of love, experimenting with boundless form to entertain, inspire, question, reflect, and educate. Even TED uses animation for their online TEDx series, a library of educational videos that continue their mission of spreading ideas. Another great online resource is PBS Studios' Blank on Blank, where artists animate conversations from deceased authors and cultural icons, literally breathing life into the dead. But it doesn't stop there. No, animation's greatest power is that it is a fundamental tool of contemporary communication. Al Jazeera, the global news network, has been animating sequences of Ukrainians being interviewed about their experiences fighting off Russia's hostile invasion. Animation's remarkable ability to condense complicated ideas into digestible visual cues ends up conveying so much more. Take this year's Oscar-nominated movie Flee, about a young man's escape from post-Soviet occupied Afghanistan. This gritty story, sourced from real interviews, is animated to protect the identity of the protagonist, Amin, who is under a pseudonym. Through animation, we supplement Amin's life of being trafficked across the Baltic Sea or smuggled into Europe in the back of a van. It informs a real experience. And it isn't the first time that animation has tackled the tragedy of war and despair. Persepolis, Waltz with Bashir, Wolf House, Breadwinner, Bestia, to name a few. When no one else would confront it, animators, cartoonists wrestled with it. Heck, even in Disney's day, Der Fuhrer's Face was an animated Donald Duck propaganda film that was so inspirational they smuggled it into the French underground for freedom fighters to watch during the war. Humanitarian crises, violence, evil, and sponges. Cartoons matter. They're a space for truth. They're not mindless, they're mindful. I encourage you, think critically about cartoons. Art is not a passive experience, and your attention is valuable. The battle for your viewership is very real. An idle audience yields no change. Art is the most subtle expression of our most abstract thoughts, the beautiful osmosis of love and dreams. It can elicit the deepest metamorphosis of the heart. I think that former UN Secretary General Kofi Annan put it best. Cartoonists have a big influence on the way different groups of people look at each other. They can encourage us to think critically about ourselves and have empathy for the frustrations and sufferings of others. They have, in short, a big responsibility. We need to engage cartoonists in the discussion. They can help us with how better to understand and engage their work, and perhaps we can help them to understand how their influence can promote peace and understanding. Cartoons bond us, they transform us. I don't think I would be an animator or a cartoonist if it weren't for all the memories that I have of sitting with Papa Jose, watching Tintin late until the morning. I saw how much joy it brought him and my brother. But more than that, it was more than entertainment for me. I drew along with them. It filled me with purpose. It inspired me to do these cartoons that I made in second grade. My teacher at the time, Ms. Bailey, caught me doodling in my daily notebook, and instead of reprimanding me or taking it away, she encouraged it. And every week I'd come back with another section of the story done, and every week she would scribble editing notes in the margins and questions about what was going to happen. She pushed me and engaged my interest. Miss Bailey is no longer with us. She passed earlier this year, but in large part, thanks to her dedication and support, I was confident enough to pursue my dreams. She didn't diminish my interest. She didn't dismiss it as baby stuff. Her labor of love paid off. Look, next time you go to an animated movie, I encourage you to engage it actively. Enjoy it, of course, but don't dismiss it. Don't pigeonhole this medium into mediocrity. Art isn't limited to an age, a group, or a time because it exists for you, universally and eternally. Cartoonishly simple, simply cartoonish. There's nothing simple about it. Thank you.